What do you do when your cutting board starts to warp? Turn it into a clock. Welcome to Howdy's and another quick build video. This is where I saved one of my cutting boards and repurposed it. I first built a cutting board out of walnut and maple with Purple Heart edges. For this pattern, I alternated the walnut and maple, and the width was smaller towards the center. The center 4 rows are 1/2 inch each, the next 2 on each side are 3/4 inch, and the final 2 on the outside are 1 1/4 inch. The Purple Heart that frames it is 1 1/2 inch with a center stripe down the middle for accent. Once the first glue up was dried and flattened with a planer, I cut cross sections using the same width patterns I mentioned previously, flipping the rows and then gluing them back together to create the final pattern as shown. I added a piece of beech to the back to add some width, cut some angles, and create a back that made it a little more sturdy. I then sanded the whole piece to 180 grit with water popping in between 120 and 180 to make sure it was very smooth. For the clock build, I found a face that I liked on Etsy. I loaded it into Easel, which is my CNC's CAD program, and cut out the numbers and the center hole on my X-Carve CNC, making sure to line up all the numbers and the center line of the board. The board was secured to the CNC using blue tape and the CA glue method. Once cut, I removed the piece and hand sanded the numbers to clean out any wood tear or wood hangers. Wood hangers is a technical term. It means all those fuzzy pieces of wood that you need to get rid of. As you can see, I cut the numbers out pretty deep to assure that the epoxy fill would be dark, as opposed to a thin layer which would make it too translucent. I mixed up some black epoxy, filled the numbers, and then sanded off any excess epoxy using the random orbital sander. One note and hint: when using a darker epoxy into a lighter color wood, it is a good idea to spray a light layer of polyurethane on the wood before filling with the epoxy. The polyurethane will fill the wood grain and keep the epoxy from leaking and staining the wood surrounding your insert. I drilled out the center hole and used the CNC to cut out the slot in the back for the batteries and the clock insert. Finally, I finished the piece with a few coats of polyurethane and added the clock compartment and hands, which were both purchased on Amazon. Hope you enjoyed the build, and I'm happy to report that this clock was good enough to make it into the inside of the house. It was in the game room, but that's still progress. See you on the next video.